Let's start with Maleficent. Obviously, a lot of buzz around this film right now. How does the finished product compare to what you first envisioned for this?
Well, the finished product is so far superior to what I envisioned because Robert Stromberg is the man who designed both Avatar and Alice in Wonderland and Oz, and so it's a spectacular looking film in 3D and really lush and taking you places you've never been.
And you're talking about somebody who I believe has never directed a film at all, right? This is his first feature, and you've always been a believer in giving people an opportunity to take a shot if they're ready.
Yeah, I've backed a lot of first-time directors who I think are ready and have a particular expertise. With him, it was visual, and felt that Angie is such a force on her own that the best way to support her was to have a great visual background.
And speaking of Angelina Jolie, this is somebody who, if she was not on board with this film, you would not have made it. I mean, you've said that. What does she think about the final product?
She loves the film. She absolutely loves the film. And boy, she is a tough critic, both on herself and on the film. And, you know, we've worked hard, and she absolutely loves the film and will be out promoting it.
When you have big budgets, and obviously this is an example of one, the expectations are so high. How much do you have to think about that? What people are saying about, you know, what the box office will be the first weekend, etc. How do you deal with that?
Well, I try not to focus on that. You know, my job is to do the best job to get the people together and tell the best story I can. You know, I have some input into the marketing and where we place the film, but if I had to go to sleep every night worrying about returns, I would be sleepless.
You do think a lot, though, about this fairy tale theme. You're going to continue on this path with more movies. A great example is you had success with Alice in Wonderland in 2010. You're working on the sequel now. When it comes to sequels, how do you differentiate? How do you do something different, for example, with that film that's going to make people excited in a bigger way?
Well, you have to do two things. You have to preserve what you think people loved about the first film, and then you have to kind of plus it up. So the story's got to be great. Linda Wolverton wrote the script. She wrote the original script. We've added Sacha Baron Cohen, who certainly feels like a charter member of the loony group we've had before, and everybody's coming back, including Johnny. And you just have to make sure that it doesn't feel like a cynical exercise, which, frankly, some sequels do, and this one doesn't. Everyone's very excited to come back.
Is it the same mix of things, for example, for yet another sequel that you're working on with the sequel to the Oz, Great and Powerful?
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Oz, you know, we have so much underlying material. There's 220 actors in the Bloom catalog. So what we'll do is, you know, we're still working. We haven't gotten to Dorothy yet, so we're still working on introducing some of the characters that people know, and you know, from their origins. So there's a wealth of movies inside that catalog.
All right, beyond the fairy tale theme, you're busy with a lot of other stuff, including another Disney film that's going to be released soon, $1 Million Arm. What are your expectations for the box office for that one? It's already getting a lot of buzz.
I think $1 Million Arm is going to really surprise people. I love the story. We picked it up on ESPN. It's about two boys from India, come from poverty, who end up getting tryouts for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 10 months, never having seen a baseball game in their life. And it's a very upbeat, emotional, funny story. We've tested it here. It tested so well, we decided to test it elsewhere. We tested it in London and in Mumbai, and everywhere we test it, people love the film. It doesn't matter if you're a 12-year-old boy or a 65-year-old woman. It just seems to be a really feel-good story. So I think it's going to surprise some people.
All right, and before we go, we mentioned Heaven is for Real, hits theaters today. This is a film that's going to make people think about things like faith. I know when you're, for example, reading a script, you shut out the outside world, you read it front to back, and then you form an opinion. In the case of a film like this, were you thinking initially that, you know, this might get lumped into the category of religious films or faith-based films?
Well, of course, I was concerned about that. Actually, it wasn't the script. I bought the book before it was a bestseller. And what intrigued me was the idea of a 4-year-old boy having a near-death experience and having his visions of what the afterlife is like. And I just don't know anybody who's ever lived who doesn't have that question. So it just seemed like a great way to approach that subject, you know, through the eyes of a 4-year-old.
In our last 10 seconds, I know you've said that for young filmmakers today, you're jealous in the sense that there's a lot of places that are hungry for content. You know, there's the Netflix and Amazon, all sorts of spots. You still feeling that way?
I do. I'm rare with jealousy because they have so many ways to make it and get their content seen that just wasn't available, you know, when I was breaking in.